What happened to Mary Reeser? The mysterious death of Mary Reeser is something that I obsessed over, and it was one of my favorite episodes of Strange Year. And if you want to listen to the episode, you can find it in the description below. And before we get into it, if you're into weird history, haunted, true crime, paranormal, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. On July 1st, 1951, in St. Petersburg, Florida, Mary Reeser and her son had dinner. He went home for the night, and Mary Reeser decided to have a cigarette. Reeser, who was 67, would not be seen alive again. Mary Reeser's landlady came to deliver her a telegram, and the door handle was hot to the touch. Firefighters were called, and when they found Mary Reeser, she was just a pile of ash. She had gone up in flames, but everything around her wasn't burned. Police had found coils from the chair and part of Mary Reeser's backbone. Her left foot was found still wearing her silk slipper, and her head had shrunken to the size of a cup. Firefighters found there was extreme heat. There was some smudges on the wall, but around where Mary Reeser was sitting, the newspapers weren't burned, the walls were clean. But what happened? What happened? The St. Petersburg police chief got a bunch of calls and a bunch of theories. They blamed napalm and they blamed thermite bombs. There was even one report where somebody says a ball of fire came through the window and burnt Mary Reeser. So the police chief contacted the FBI because he was out of his depth. "Dear Mr. J. Edgar Hoover," he wrote, "this fire is too puzzling for the small town force to handle." So now the FBI had samples and evidence, and they examined it for about 3 weeks. The police chief said it was the most unnatural case he's ever come across in his 25 years of police work. They found all the fuses were still intact, and they couldn't find out what caused the blaze. So it was ruled accidental death. But why? And how? One anthropologist said her head should have exploded and not shrunk. It was also said that her body was completely cremated. Like the whole cremation process that would have happened if she was still intact happened in her chair in her apartment. Probably one of the most wild yet popular theories is spontaneous human combustion. So the FBI, they settled on the Wick effect. What is the Wick effect? Great question. I have a mediocre answer. It's the partial destruction of the human body by fire. When an article of clothing catches on fire, the fat inside the body feeds the flames. It then produces a low-burning, intense flame that is relatively contained. Limbs are often left intact because there's less fat on them to burn. Now, I think it's safe to assume, or it's definitely a huge possibility, that maybe she fell asleep smoking a cigarette. But it still doesn't explain what would normally happen if you dropped a cigarette and caught on fire. If you have any theories on what happened to Mary Reeser, let me know in the comments section below. If there's any weird and strange history you'd like me to do in a future video, let me know in the comment section below as well. If you want to check out more episodes of Strange Year, there is a link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.